Good evening, brothers and sisters. How are you? Brother Maddox was right. You know I must love you if I'm spending my daughter's birthday with you instead of my daughter. My daughter understands that liberating our people is a full-time job, and that it requires that we travel far away from home sometimes. But the important thing is we do our job and we come back home so that we can leave again. But we come back home again. And it's great to have a home to come back to. Dr. Jeffries in the house. How you doing? Yes, indeed. Well, I'm so pleased to be here. Always pleased to be with my brothers and sisters here at UAM. You all have been extremely supportive. I see a brother back in the back wearing one of our Egypt on the Potomac t-shirts. Those of you who take the field trip, next Sunday we'll have the opportunity to really see what that trip is all about. It is not a tour. It is a field trip. It's a field trip in the literal sense of the word. A field trip like the field trips you took when you were in school. It is an extension of the classroom where you're going to be exposed to historical, cultural, scientific, architectural, and symbolic information that will help you begin to understand what I refer to as secrets which have been literally hidden in plain sight. And the whole concept behind hiding secrets in plain sight is that if you want to keep something hidden from the people, you don't have to put it in a safe. You don't have to put it under 24-hour guard. The best way to hide a secret is to hide it in the open where everyone can see it. All you need to do is to separate people from their ability to understand what they see. So they'll walk past it, they'll drive past it, and they'll never know that the key to their mental salvation is right at their feet. So, you know, the field trip that I've done in Washington is something that I've been doing all over the country, because I found our fingerprints, our historical, cultural, architectural, and symbolic fingerprints everywhere I've gone in the world. It just so happens that they're probably a bit more plentiful in Washington than there are any place else, because it shows the extent to which white men value African knowledge, such that they use that knowledge in order to create what has become the capital of the wealthiest and most powerful nation in human history. They knew the value of African knowledge, and part of their job was to keep us on mental lockdown so that we can never truly understand who we were, what we came from, and what our contributions were to culture and civilization. So as long as we remain Negroes, as long as we remain mentally dispirited, then we will never be able to access that which is right within our grasp. And so these meetings that you all have here and have had through UAM for so many, many years are vital, because it is your opportunity to begin to re-immerse yourself in your history, your culture, into those traditions that will help you begin to recover your mind. Because Brother Maddox was right in terms of doing those radio interviews. You really begin to realize how sick we are. We are a sick people. But I understand the depth of that sickness. I understand the source of that sickness. And before we can truly heal ourselves, we must first acknowledge that we are sick.
That's the problem.
That's the hardest part of the problem. To acknowledge that you are sick and that you need help. And once you begin to cross that very small threshold, it may look like a major threshold, but once you cross that small threshold, then you can begin to open the door to transformations, physical transformations, mental transformations, and spiritual transformations that you have always had the power and the ability to access. And so these meetings here are significant because they help you unlock those mysteries and begin to know that which you weren't supposed to know. So I'm pleased here tonight to add to your mental development and your spiritual liberation. And the topic that I chose for my presentation this evening is entitled Barack or Not Barack, an analysis of the historical and spiritual significance of a Barack Obama presidency to America, to Black America, and to the world. And so this analysis is going to be based on investigating 6 different areas. The first area is, who is Barack to America? Who is he to Black America? And who is he to the world? The second point of interest is, does Barack really care about Black people? So this is going to be a critique of the Black critics of Barack. The third point is the significance of Obama as America's first Black president. The fourth point is racism in America dead or in a state of suspended animation? And how wrong was Jeremiah Wright? The fifth point is Barack speaks. I want to analyze 3 of his speeches and look at the content of his words. And then the final point is, it's not about me, it's about you. Direct quote from Obama for his acceptance speech. It's not about me, it's about you. The role that African Americans must play in the upcoming presidential election. So those are the 6 areas that I'm going to examine. So the first one, who is Barack to America, Black America, and the world? The important thing is, if you look at what this man has done, he has raised in the 18 to 20 months of his presidential candidacy, he has raised approximately $500 million. Yeah. More money than any presidential candidate in history. Most of this money has been raised via the internet, via $25, $50, $100 contributions that have come in from all over this country. And what's important for us to realize is that most of this money has come from white people. Yes. Yeah. Particularly white women. Yes. Particularly white women. Yeah. So we have to begin to look at what is the appeal of Barack Obama to white America, and specifically white women. Well, the main appeal is that he's a mulatto. That his mother is European American, and his father was African. Not African American or Black, he's African. He doesn't have the stain of slavery. He doesn't have the stain of the civil rights movement. He is apart from this country. So he is separated from the guilt that white folk have about what they did to our ancestors. So they can see him through a different light. And so because of the fact that so many whites have taken to Barack, many blacks have questioned his blackness. You know, who is he? Why do white folk like him so much? And in response to all of the criticism, or much of the criticism about him, in Washington, D.C., where I now live, there's a brother who I'm sure some of you are familiar with, a brother by the name of Haile Garima. Wrote, produced, and directed a film called Sankofa. And he has a bookstore and video store on Georgia Avenue, 2 blocks north of Howard University. And one of his close colleagues, a good brother from the Caribbean, a good brother from Trinidad by the name of Ackland Lynch, who's a professor, a brilliant mind, retired professor from Howard University. And they talk a lot. And so Ackland is very politically astute, was talking about this Barack phenomenon. And so he encouraged Haile Garima to sponsor a 3-week lecture series at his space so that they could bring in scholars, activists, community organizers, and have them discuss before the community who Barack is to me. So Brother Lynch structured this program, which was held over the course of 3 weeks. The first week, you had community organizers. The second week, you had a number of scholars from Howard and several other educational institutions. The third week, you had artists, spoken word artists, and other social activists. And those 3 weeks of activities were profoundly engaging. profoundly engaging in so many different levels. So you had folk who talked about the validity of Barack running for president. You had others who said that, well, he's nothing more but an extension of this country. He won't be able to do anything for black folk. You know, so all kinds of issues came out during this discussion. And what we found is, or what I found as I was sitting in the audience observing everything, was that there were a number of people in the audience, majority of people in the audience, who weren't in favor of Barack, who were not supportive of Barack. So let me kind of put this in context for a minute. I've had the pleasure of traveling throughout this country and throughout the world, specifically within the last 6 months, 12 months. You know, my travels have taken me to India, to England twice, to Mexico, to Belize, to Egypt. And everywhere I've traveled outside of this country, everyone that I have encountered, once they found out that I was from America, they all expressed to me with great excitement about Barack running for president. Outside of this country, everybody is rooting for this man.
Yeah.
Why? Because they